Hi guys, welcome all to Cricket Unplugged on the Umpires call. I've got Surinder Singh, Anuj, Ghai, and Saksham Alag with me. Welcome everyone to the session. We intend to talk about the India-South Africa series, which is about to start on Boxing Day. But more importantly, we will also touch on a few crazy bits that have been going on in Indian cricket in the recent past. So why not start with that, and then we'll get to the series in due course. Communication, we believe, is the key basic cornerstone of success across every organization. That's the one thing which has been missing primarily in recent times between the BCCI and the entire saga that's going on between BCCI and Kohli, isn't it? So, Singhji, if I can start with you, Paji, what are your thoughts on how BCCI has managed this?
It's looked really amateurish. I'll be honest with you. Again, there's set protocols for, announcements. No protocols have been done in this case, either with the player or from the board. So realistically, what they should have done, if they had this idea, they should have done it the normal way, gone through the channel of a press conference with the new captain, with obviously Jay Shah, and also Saurav Ganguly. They should have done a press conference to, to highlight this, rather than, Kohli going his separate way, Ganguly going his separate way, and we don't know what Jay Shah was doing, but he was going his separate way. So there's been a very, very miscommunication, and also with Chetan Sharma. Chetan Sharma has also failed as being the lead selector. Nobody's heard anything of what went on. So I really think the BCCI, with the power it has and the status it has been a disaster for them.
Anuj, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, we've been listening to this, that communication gap, which was being lacking from last 4 years, if you see. When Ravi Shastri was there, Virat Kohli obviously was the captain of the side. But what really happened, that basically tells you that what sort of mockery has been done by both the leadership group, or you can say by BCCI, because you don't expect a captain or maybe a BCCI president to have a communication gap like this. What Virat Kohli said in the press conference, he said that there was no, sort of communication that, okay, you don't, leave the T20 captaincy, because Ganguly said this. We wanted Kohli to continue, but Kohli saying this in the pre-departure conference, that there was no communication like this happened. So this basically shows that there was a big communication gap. There was a rift, you can say, between the leadership group or maybe the BCCI. The stature of BCCI, they are dominating the ICC, the other countries across the globe, but this basically gives me that nostalgia, or that bad experience of what happened in 2005 and 6 when Chappell was there, when Ganguly was the captain. So this whole incident gives me that remembrance of 15 or 16 years back sort of memory, which is very, very unfortunate.
Yeah, true. Now, Saksham, just coming to you and to sort of deviate a bit from this direct question, but to stay on this topic, surely the choice of having a separate captain for white ball cricket versus red ball is a fairly logical decision, right? It's just how it's been handled in this entire process that's left fans and cricket lovers of the country very, very disturbed and confused in certain ways. Sakshi, I'm sorry, I don't think we can hear you. No. Sakshi, can you hear us?
I think we'll go on the chat.
You can leave and you can rejoin again.
Yeah, yes, Saksham, it might be a good idea for you to just log out and log back in again, please. Yeah, okay, so while Saksham's getting his technical side sorted, so let's then move on to the current series that's coming up. But then again, going back to what I was asking Saksham, maybe just we touch upon that for a bit. Surely having a separate red ball captain and a white ball captain makes complete sense in this day and age, doesn't it?
Yes,
Singhi, your
yes,
thoughts?
yes. It makes complete sense because you want to groom the captain for the tournament ahead. So obviously having a white ball captain, we've seen it work very, very well with England, with Owen Morgan and obviously Joe Root. And I think it would work for India because it is managing the workload. As a player gets older and has more responsibilities off the field, it is good for that no longer to be like that dominant player that has to play every game. And if he doesn't play every game, everybody questions why he's not playing. So I think taking the captaincy of Virat in the white ball game is definitely the right decision. But again, the way it's been handled, and we have to look at it in Indian terms, it's such a divide. The nation is divided, 65, 70% for Virat and 30% for Rohit. So that natural thing of who's going to lead out of the one of them will explode on social media. So I think that is the big problem. But for me, I think Virat didn't want Rohit as the captain in the white ball. He wanted KR Rahul. And I think that's the reason why, the Virat, the Rohit fans are really angry as well. So it's putting, oil on the flames of, people's sentiments. But for me, the actual technical thing was it was right to have a white ball captain and a red ball captain.
Yeah, sure. I mean, the fans will always have their say. They will always have their biases in terms of the players that they support, and rightfully so. And that's their prerogative. Anuj, if you look at examples of how teams have managed red ball versus white ball cricket in terms of captaincy, England, like Faji mentioned, is a prime example. So also Australia. Australia have done really, really well, where they've managed with a separate captain for white ball versus a separate for red ball. So the fact that we have now chosen somebody like Rohit, who has proven himself in the T20 format, especially across the IPL, and in the few games that he has captained India as well, surely that's a no-brainer for him to take on and move forward. Plus, he's one of the better players in the limited overs format that we currently have.
Yeah, I mean, the timing is very important. I mean, if you see, we all wanted a captain to be changed after 2019 World Cup. I mean, there was speculation, there were reports that BCCI wanted Rohit Sharma to be the captain of the side. But I think at that point of time, BCCI was, building it up because there was Lodha committee before. Saurav Ganguly was rising to the occasion. Jai Shah was also coming up. But I still believe that this captaincy or that leadership group of Rohit Sharma, I think BCCI is looking, they are basically desperate to win an ICC event. It's been almost 8 years, 8 to 9 years, and they want that, a captain who has been captaining the side for 8 to 9 years and winning the trophy for 5 times. Obviously, that desperation will be there, and they are looking for next T20 World Cup, and obviously the ODI World Cup will be in India. So it's a great chance for us to win the trophy again, after almost 11 to 12 years. I mean, it's been in 2011 only we won the World Cup in India. So, but coming back again to the point of the managing part, I think if you see the captaincy saga, it was not managed well by the BCCI. But now it becomes important for Rahul Dravid to manage the teams, the combination, what is the vision for the 2022 World Cup. What is the case for Hardik Pandya? We need to see the players who are the future or the vision. So for me, I think the foundation has to be correct when it comes to T20 cricket or the white ball, the one days and the test matches. So for me, the key is Rahul Dravid now. It's very important that how he, manage his troops, or maybe how he manage the ego of the players when it comes to Rohit Sharma or Virat Kohli. It's very important. He has been mentoring the sides of under 19 and the India squad, but this is a totally different game altogether. So let's see how things pan out. I'm really looking forward how the next 2 years going to be for the Indian team.
I'm glad that you brought up Rahul Dravid, because that's something that we're going to touch upon in a bit. Saksham, can you hear us now? And more importantly, can we hear you?
Yeah, absolutely. I can hear you people if you can.
Awesome.
Yeah.
You Sound perfect and brilliant. So welcome to the conversation. Now I'll switch over to you now since we've got you back live. A T20 World Cup next year and a 50-over World Cup the following year. Perfect time for Rohit Sharma to now build a limited overs team.
Yes, see, as I was, about to say this before as well, that, giving the captaincy to Rohit Sharma is no brainer, because, people were saying that maybe Rohit is a bit elder, you can give it to KL Rahul or Rishabh Pant. But from the very start, I think everyone, including me, and I think many fans, I would say, that they always wanted Rohit Sharma to captain the T20 team. Now, what happened is, I think the BCCI did not handle this whole situation well. I don't know why. First of all, I did not understand the fact that why Saurav Ganguly came on to give that statement. Because see, the selection of the captain and the team is to be done by the selection committee, the chairman of the selection committee, who is, I think, Chetan Sharma. So it was his job to give a justification if needed. They don't have to justify us, first of all. So I think first of all, that was one of many wrong dones by the BCCI. Secondly, if also they have done it, first of all, as many of my friends said that there should have been a conference and everything. That's how you bid farewell to your one of the greatest captains who have captained your team. And as far as T20 team is concerned, I think we are at a stage where we lacked a little bit of confidence in this T20 World Cup in Dubai. I think we did not have enough preparation. We were all, I would say, fatigued. We played IPL. We then went to play test matches. Then again, we played IPL. We were all packed. I think, and afterwards we saw, players giving us explanations that, we did not have enough time to prepare. We were all, hitched up in the schedule and everything. So that's something that the BCCI should look into. IPL is a great entertainer. IPL has been the pool of the pool of players from where the Indian team gets a lot of their players. But still, they should see how the international fixtures are, and according to that, our schedule should be there, and that's something that they should look upon. And I'm sure the team that we already have, maybe there will be one or two omissions, which I feel that will depend on how the selection committee sees it. But I think we have a pretty good team and a pretty good captain who has proved himself in the domestic leagues.
Fair enough. Fair point. Okay, so now to move on to the more exciting, pressing issue that we have on our hands, which is the start of the India's tour to South Africa. We've never won a series there. We've won matches sparingly, once under Rahul Dravid, once under Dhoni, once under Kohli, right? That's about it. So, given the fact that India's current test team were the finalists at the World Test Championships, given the fact that this South African team is probably a bit less experienced than some of their previous teams. Paji, if I can come to you with this question first, do you think that this might actually be the best chance for India to take a series win in South Africa?
Paji, you are on mute.
Yes, I really think it is a good time to play South Africa. However, South Africa have pulled a joker outside the pack. They've now picked Dwan Olivia. And Dwan Olivia, bowls in South Africa is absolutely amazing. So now they've got the bowling, the three spaces that they potentially got, Noche, Rabada, and Dwan Olivia, that finally puts a lot of pressure on the Indian batting. So I think the team with the best batting in this series will win the series. And I still do think India has the stronger batting, 1 to 6. South Africa, they've still got quite a lot of experience, with Markram and Elgar and, Van der Dussen. So there's some real, class players in South Africa. So South Africa are the dark horses and they're on the underdogs. But, with Juan Olivier, I think it's a 60-40 for India to win this.
So, yeah, the fact that South Africa have an inexperienced team compared to the previous ones, that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that they are by any chance a weak team. And South Africa playing in South Africa will always be a handful no matter what the opposition. Anuj, if I can come to you on this, the fact that you have somebody like Dean Elgar at the top of the order, who's a fairly experienced captain across domestic circuits and now fairly new into the test arena, but you have a sort of mix of youth and experience within the team in within the South African squad who haven't really proven themselves yet at that test level to that extent, which basically means that they have that as an added impetus on them to prove themselves, especially against a strong Indian side.
Absolutely. I think this is, the question that you asked to Paji, that is this the right chance for the Indian team to win this series? I think it's the best chance. Considering the inexperience, as you mentioned, that the mission that they have of experience and a bit of youngsters, if you see, for them, I think the biggest worrying point would be Henrik Nortje. He's ruled out from the 3 test match series because of the injury. So I think the way he performed in IPL, if you see Rabada, Nortje combination, Delhi Capitals was winning the matches because of these two at one point of time. Not including Nortje on this side, that basically shows that India is far much ahead, if you see, before the match. But we need to understand that they are playing in their home conditions, and you cannot rule out South Africa the way they played in World Cups. No one was expecting them to fight like they did. They won 4 matches, I think, on a trot. They only lost the first match against Australia. So they have this potential, they have this belief, and it's very important for the Indians to play the right combination. We don't want 2 spinners to be playing on a green top wicket. What happened in Southampton? What happened in 2018 tour of South Africa? What happened in 2018 England series? We lost those series because we didn't went with the right selection. We often say that right man for the right job. That's where I felt India was lacking a bit. But now, considering what happened in WTC final, finally we have realized that we can go with the 4 paces, out and out 4 paces. Obviously, Shardul Thakur will be giving a cushion to us, contributing 30 to 40 runs at the lower order. So let's see how things pan out. But again, I would say you cannot rule out South Africa because they are playing in their own conditions and they can beat top sides, if you talk about it, test cricket as well.
No, absolutely. I completely agree with you. I was on a show yesterday and we were talking about the same thing, that South Africa is always going to be a strong contender in any case. Saksham, if I could just come to you, now that we're talking about the selection of the team being so critical for a team's success across any series, especially when India is playing overseas, which we always know is a tough one. But India has done fairly well in the last 4, 5, 6 years, right? Traveling and playing overseas. So if we are looking at combinations in terms of players, before we go into the actual possible playing 11 for the first test match and so on, what do you think of the fact that we have taken somebody like a Ravi Ashwin with the squad to South Africa? We also have a couple of other additional spinners, yet his record, and if we talk about what Anuj was just mentioning, if it's horses for courses that we need to choose, Ashwin's record has not necessarily been the best in South Africa over the years, right? So is this a point for him to prove while going to South Africa? We know he's a champion bowler. We know he loves challenges. So do you think this is the sort of a challenge that Ashwin can really, really rise up to?
See, as you mentioned, I also did read somewhere that Ashwin doesn't have a good record in South Africa. But see, going into Australia last year, he didn't have a good record there as well. And everyone was just saying that, maybe Ashwin should come back to his own natural off spin rather than trying all those variations. But still, he came out really good. He got Steve Smith, he made Steve Smith his bunny. So that's something Ashwin is all about. Ashwin is a very tough character. We have seen Ashwin being against the wall and then coming out really strong. And I think Ashwin against left-handers and the amount of left-handers that South Africa has, I think especially against Dean Elgar and Quinton de Kock, if he's playing, I'm not sure if he's playing or not. These two, he has a pretty good record against them. Quinton de Kock in IPL, he has got like 3 to 4 times, if I'm not wrong. Dean Elgar, he has got in India. I remember the last time South Africa came in India. I remember that series, he got Dean Elgar there as well. So Ashwin, I would say, even if he doesn't have a good record, he is a very skillful bowler. And the way I read one of his interviews lately, I think he has already started preparing about it like 3 to 4 months before. So by the time we are talking about it, I think he already has a lot of plans for the batsman, because that's what he did for Steve Smith. So I'm pretty sure Ashwin will come out really good, and he himself has said that South Africa is a place where we haven't won a series. So right. I am sure Virat Kohli and his men, along with Ashwin, would want to make this happen, and Ashwin will be the key. Even if he doesn't have a good record, he'll be the key.
No, fair enough. And the fact that if Ashwin does produce the goods like we know him, he's capable of, right? And we've seen him time and time again, then that's a massive boost to the Indian attack. Given the fact that of late, Paji, you will probably remember this last year when England and West Indies were playing in England, during that Sky Sports coverage, there was a sequence I remember where they highlighted a fair bit about the fact that the Indian 4 bowlers, the 4-pronged bowling attack that India currently have, is actually top of the list, beating the likes of Australia, New Zealand, South Africa in terms of the law of averages over the last 2-3 years. Now that's unheard of for us cricket fans in Indian cricket, say 10 years back, to have a 4-man bowling attack, fast bowling attack, who's going and terrorizing the opposition. So if our bowling actually clicks, the batsmen of course have to deliver, then this should become a really, really strong battle, and we should be able to give them a tough fight, shouldn't we?
Yeah, exactly. However, the big difference between South Africa and England is the height of the bowlers. So where the ball bounces, the bounce and the power and the pace of those 3 bowlers in particular is suited to those wickets. Whereas in England, with the Duke ball, the swinging conditions, India had all the bases covered. And I think Ashwin, going just back on Ashwin really wants to do well in this series, because he wants to meet me in Birmingham when they come over next year in England. So I think that's the big plus. But the 4 bowlers of India, Bumrah, Shami, Siraj, or one or the other, you've got so much variation. They bowl as a unit. After 4 or 5 overs, but you need one good spinner who can churn the overs out. And I think that's where Ashwin will be really, really crucial to the attack, because you need to rotate the bowling really well, quickly. So if the new ball is up and the pitch is dead, you then get the faster bowlers on the newer wicket with a new ball, where they will make, cause havoc. And we know South Africa's batting isn't as strong as India's on paper. Whether that happens in reality, it's a big question. So India probably want to, bat first or bat second. It doesn't make a difference to them. But Ashwin in the 4th or 5th day against Maharaj on the 4th or 5th day, there's only going to be one winner, and that's going to be Ashwin.
Sure. No, fair enough. Your thoughts on KL Rahul being vice captain, which was quite an unusual move by the selectors, wasn't it?
Oh, Kohli's got his wish. Kohli has his wish. He wanted KL Rahul to be the captain. He wanted him to go to RCB, and that's not going to happen. Lucknow will take him. But yeah, KL Rahul in Test cricket, he has not proved himself. Mayank hasn't proved himself. Shubman hasn't proved himself. So that hole at the top of the wicket, who bats with Rohit, I think is the big question of what's going to happen in England. I think I don't want to discount South Africa. I think the big victory India want is to beat England in England. I think that will be a massive fillip for them, and then obviously try to beat New Zealand, because they beat them now at home, beat them away in the long term as well. So I think they've got some really, really good things to look at. But KL Rahul as vice captain, let's see how he does. He's not really teared it up in Test cricket. ODI, T20, no problems with KL Rahul, whether he backs up 5 or top. no problem. But a Test cricket, is he an opener or does he come back 4 or 5? That's the big question, and what Rahul Dravid has to answer.
What might be interesting is the fact that when you have more responsibilities, you suddenly tend to actually thrive on it and come out stronger. So let's hope KL Rahul probably takes up this vice captaincy element of his really well and delivers on the Test front. Anuj, if we are to now look at the team that we have, the top of the order with Rohit not being there, with Rohit not being in the squad, who opens along with Mayank Agarwal? Mayank Agarwal, based on how he played in the last series, sure, it was in India, but we go by performances of late in terms of team selections, ideally. So if Mayank is going to be one of the openers, who do you feel would be the opener pairing him up at the top of the order?
We have Priyank Panchal also there. I mean, obviously the placement of Rohit Sharma, but I think the way KL Rahul played in England, the resilience that he showed, the patience that was being demanded, in England, he was up to the mark for me. So obviously KL Rahul is the first option for me to open with Mayank Agarwal. But what if Mayank Agarwal fails in first 2 matches? Let's take in a scenario, because Priyank Panchal has been there for about a month. He was captaining the India A side, and Hanuma Vihari also can open. He's a makeshift opener. He opened in West Indies, I feel. If memory serves me right, he opened in West Indies, he scored a century. So India have multiple options for opening, but for me, I think KL Rahul will be the opener for sure. I hope he performs, because he scored a fair amount of runs in England. Now, obviously, he was injured in India. I think Mayank Agarwal and Shubman Gill opened. So let's see how things pan out. But I really hope that with this vice captaincy material and that responsibility coming to him, I think he will surely rise to the occasion.
Well, let's hope so. Let's hope so for Indian team's sake that he actually does deliver. Now we come to a very, very sensitive topic in terms of 2 players who've served India really, really well, players who've had decent records in the past, players who are currently under a lot of pressure from the media, from the fans, from across digital channels. I'm talking about Pujara and Ajinkya Rahane. Where do these 2 fit in? Do they fit in still in this new India setup? Anuj, we can start with you, yeah, and then I'll go to Saksham. Saksham,
yeah.
After Anuj, I'll come to you on the same question.
Sure. I mean, we always talk about that Virat Kohli hasn't scored this century for 2 years, but also Pujara has not been scoring this century for I think 3 years now. He last scored in 2019. I think it was in January in Sydney when he last scored the Test century over there, and he scores. If you talk about the England series recently, what happened? I mean, he scored in Lords, he scored in Headingley, I feel. But obviously, if you see, if he's scoring 2 half centuries and there is a rough patch for about 8 to 10 innings, then obviously it hardly makes a sense to me. But let's see if Pujara has this rock solid attitude the way he showed on the Australian tour. I really want to see that, because we have the substitute of him. If Priyank Panchal can bat at 3, I mean, he can bat at 3. He's been batting for his state as well. Obviously, he's an opener, but he also can bat at 3. So I want Pujara, a new Pujara. I mean, obviously, he showed that the strike rate is the issue, and obviously Virat Kohli said after the WTC final that players has to show the intent, and obviously he was indirectly pointing out to Ajinkya Rahane or maybe a Cheteshwar Pujara. So I think in that sense Pujara has improved, but the consistency part has to be there. For Rahane, I don't see him in the playing 11 from the first Test match. I want Shreyas Iyer to be out there, because I think enough is enough. I think it's now time for team management to invest in youngsters, whether it is Surya Kumar Yadav or a Shreyas Iyer or maybe a Rituraj Gaikwad. I really see him bat in Test cricket as well. The way he has this composure, he has this technique. So for me, it's a make and break series for Pujara. If he performs, he will be there for future, at least for 2 to 3 years. But if he doesn't perform, I see players like Priyank Panchal. I mean, we used to have Jeevan Jot Singh 3 to 4 years back, but how do you see him, in the scheme of things? So for me, make or break series for Pujara, and for Rahane, I think it's the end of the road.
So interesting point that you mentioned about Rahane and the end of the road. Saksham, if I can come to you, the Australia series, India got bowled out for 36 and then lost that first match. And then Kohli left and Rahane took over as captain, ended up winning the series, scoring 100 at the MCG. And since then, again, has been down on form. Are we being too harsh on saying that it's the end of the road for him? Or does he still deserve more chances? Because he's obviously not stepped up to the mark in recent times, given the chances he's had. It's not that he's been batting poorly. He has had starts, but he's just not converted them. And that is not, if you don't convert your starts into something big, then it really doesn't help the team, especially in Test cricket.
See, I think you cannot ask questions when you don't have options. And the reason I was, even telling my friends that, you cannot go harsh on Rahane because we do not have any options at that point. But now, the way Shreyas Iyer has performed, I think he is a very, very excellent option in the place of Rahane. And I think the team management thinks the same way. The reason being, the way they sacked him as the vice captain and they brought in Rohit Sharma. So I think they are pretty clear in mind that Rahane had, his chances, but now he has not been able to capitalize on that. Obviously, he had starts. I think after that Melbourne 100, he scored 115, a 60 something. I don't remember that in Chennai or somewhere against England in India. So after that, he has not scored well. On the other side, Pujara has scored some, a really vital knocks in Lord, as Anuj mentioned. He scored a really good knock that helped us, had a really good lead over England, which eventually, got us the match. So as far as Rahane is concerned, I also believe that he's not going to be in the first 11, obviously. But if if any injury is there, or maybe the captain or the coach feels that he's really good in the nets, but that's something that we guys don't know, that how a player is playing in the nets. And sometimes we have heard that the way player is practicing, the way players has been in the routines, that's something that the captain and the coach notices. And with the vision of Rahul Dravid, I think he's well aware of where Rahane and Pujara stand. So first match obviously is not going to be there. As far as the second or third matches is concerned, we'll see how Shreyas Iyer goes about it. But I think the way he played in India against New Zealand, I don't think so. Rahul or maybe Virat will drop him.
Paji, coming to you. So keeping all these discussions in mind, right, and the youngsters coming up and performing whenever they're being given their chances and so on, surely it's time that selections are made for the Indian playing 11 based more on performances than just reputation?
100%, Rits. The problem that India have is they have a factory line of all these players coming in with a lot of talent. So unless you are giving them the chances, you potentially miss out on a generation of players. Yeah. So if you look at Gaikwad, I'm a big fan of Gaikwad, and I think he's definitely knocking on the door in place of Mayank. And I would like to see Rohit and Gaikwad open the batting with Gale at 3 and then Kohli at 4. I think that for me is the beautiful balance of India that could potentially happen. Rahane, to be fair, he's not performing in India and he's not now performing abroad. So other than if Virat doesn't play, who captains the team is the big question. He's even lost the vice captaincy. So his standing is like Tim Paine's. He's got them. It's not going to happen anymore. I think this will be the last leg. If he doesn't perform here, he doesn't go to England, and that will be get game over for Rahane. And I think he's served Indian cricket very, very well when he's had to. But the fact is, he's not performing. He's not performing in T20. He's not performing in in the Test cricket anymore. Pujara is a different kettle of fish, because Pujara has a specific role within the Indian setup, is to blunt the bowling. So if you look at a team like South Africa, if Pujara comes in quite early, as long as he blunts the bowling for 20 to 25 overs, he's done his job. He doesn't have to play the strokes, but against a bowling attack like South Africa, is getting the shine off the ball and then nullifying that attack. That is a specific role for Pujara, which Rahane can't do.
Just want to add one thing here.
Sure.
For Rahane. Sometimes it happens that, if a player is going through a rough patch and it's a long rough patch, I think it's very important to go on your basics. And that's why I feel that Rahane should play the Ranji season, upcoming Ranji season, or maybe play a county season, because this sort of phase has happened with Saurav Ganguly, Rahul Dravid, Virendra Sehwag, Zaheer Khan. I mean, he was also struggling in 2005 or I think 2006. He also played county season, and then we all saw the way he came back. So I just feel that it's important for Rahane to just go out there, score thousands of runs in a season, and then come back. Sometimes I feel it's important. KL Rahul also was dropped, I think, after the West Indies tour in 2019 September. Then we all saw how he made the comeback against the England series. So I just feel that it's important for Rahane to go back to domestic cricket and get this form, and I'm sure he will come back in a very strong manner very soon.
Anuj, actually, Anuj, that's actually a very valid point. Paji, sorry, I agree with what you're saying. For the simple reason, I don't just feel it's for Rahane. I think there should be a process. It used to be there for Indian cricket before. The likes of Gavaskar, Vingsaka, Mohinder Ramanath, that entire generation have played county cricket, because county cricket gives you that experience of playing day in, day out on a weekly basis, right? There are games after games. It's about fitness. It's about match awareness. It's about situational analysis. It's about how do you play the moving ball in England, right? How do you face up to different conditions, not just in terms of off the pitch, but in terms of the playing conditions as well. And that grooms a player up really well. I really am quite surprised that other than of late Pujara being in a county session for about a season and a half, I think, if I'm not mistaken, we haven't had too many players, and Ashwin was obviously playing this year as well a little bit.
Bihari was there.
Bihari was there as well. But we haven't seen too many. We haven't seen that continuous flow of players who can be given time off to go and hone their skills. It's almost as if the revenue aspect of Indian cricket has become so important. You keep on playing series after series, then you go into the IPL, and then you go into something else, and you just don't have the window to let players go and learn and become better at what they should be, and grow as professionals. And I think it's a fairly sad situation in a way. So yeah, I mean, hopefully there are some changes moving forward, and one of the few people who can possibly make recommendations on such changes is the gentleman we touched upon a lot earlier in our conversation. So Dravid was the first captain to have won a test match in South Africa. We know the legend that he's been in the true sense of the term, scored bountifuls of runs all over the world. He's hugely respected as a professional and as a leader. Was with the NCA, was with the India A, grooming them, and now finally he's head of the Indian team as head coach. Anuj, if I can just start with you on this topic, surely there's no one better than somebody like a Rahul Dravid now to guide this Indian team through an almost new phase of Indian cricket.
Yes, I think it was need of the hour. I think Rahul Dravid was required in this, team management, and I feel, the point that you mentioned about the county season and that hunger should be there. I think Rahul Dravid always selects the player on the merit, and that's what you want in the whole setup when it comes to limited overs. And if we talk about the test cricket, so obviously I think he is the man which a player can trust. I don't think there has to be any sort of uncertainty or insecurity in players. You know what, Ashwin made the statement 2 days back or maybe 3 days back that he was disappointed when Ravi Shastri said that Kuldeep Yadav is the #1 overseas bowler and all that stuff. So you want that camaraderie to be out there. You don't want any sort of favoritism. And I feel Rahul Dravid is the perfect man to lead the side, from the outset, from the dressing room. And I think it's a very huge task if we talk about the South Africa tour. If Team India succeeds in that, and then obviously, it will be a great start for the Rahul Dravid as well. But it will be interesting to see how he mentors the team, because as a captain, obviously in 2006 we won the Test match in Johannesburg. I think Shisant was the man of the match in that. Craig Chappell was the coach in that team, and Saurav Ganguly was making the comeback. I think by scoring lots of runs in domestic cricket. So that was also a time which Indian cricket had, and let's see. I think it's a good contest. I think Boxing Day Test match. Obviously, we won the last Test match, beating Australia in MCG last time when we played the Boxing Day Test match. So really hoping that under Rahul Dravid we will win this Boxing Day Test match, and hopefully it's been 29 years, so we'll be winning the Test series for sure in South Africa against Proteas. Yeah.
That's what most of the Indian fans are hoping, I'm sure. Saksham, if I can just come to you for the next slot. Indian fans, Indian media are always very, very quick to add additional pressure on players, be it coaching staff, be it administrators, whatever. Are we already expecting too much out of Rahul Dravid, the coach? He's just started.
See, pressure is everywhere. Pressure, if you are in the Indian setup, Rahul Dravid knew that, that he's getting himself into one of the biggest positions in Indian cricket, because he was replacing Ravi Shastri, and obviously Ravi Shastri has, I would not say handled it really well, but still, he was the head coach of the Indian cricket team. And I feel the main job of a coach is not to, tell. Obviously, it is one of his jobs to go and tell that, your bat is not coming in time. Maybe there is some technical problem in your stance, or maybe you're not bowling well. Apart from this, the main job of a coach is to mentor. The main job of a coach is to handle the players properly, which Anuj, just touched upon. That Ashwin said, he didn't feel that. So the job of a coach is to make everyone feel that you are safe in this environment. You are equal, and obviously the players who are not playing, because I remember one of the press conferences where MS was asked, how do you manage the players, or how does CSK manages the players who are not in the 11? I think the same question was asked to Harbhajan Singh when he did not play so many matches in CSK, and still CSK won it. And same Suresh Raina was asked, and Robin Uthappa, who played 2 to 3 matches only lately. So he said, it is really important how the team, how the franchise or coach or captain, anyone manages the players who are not playing, because obviously when you are playing, they know what's expected of you. But when you are not playing, it's very important that that communication is made to you that, it's okay that you're not playing. There is something that we are looking, we're expecting from you. Maybe you can do this so that we can, allow you to play. So these things have to be really, really mentored by Rahul Dravid. And as far as that pressure is concerned, his stature himself, says a lot of things about him, as Anuj just mentioned, that victory in Johannesburg as a captain, and a lot of things, in the past, the way he has mentored India A players. So it's not a lot, it's something that the Indian team, Indian fans are expecting from these players from a very long time. And when you are, as far as players are concerned, I think when you are, chosen from 1.3 billion people, the pressure will be there because you are not among the rest who have not been selected. You are among the best, right? So that's fair. Pressure is everywhere. Even if you are doing a job as a restaurant cook, there is pressure of taste. You know, when you are driving a truck, there is a pressure to reach on time. You know, so pressure is everywhere, and I think it's not too much. These players know, these are very professional people, they know how to handle it really well.
Sure. Paji, to come to you, the pressure aspect that we talk about when it comes to coaching the Indian team, right? One additional aspect I personally feel that's always been there with the coach of the Indian cricket team is managing egos within the team. And we know the sort of egos that you might have to manage within organizations, definitely when it comes to sporting teams. And I'm sure the Indian team is no different. Now, for somebody like Rahul, he's already been there and done that, having played at an era where you had mega personalities within the same team. I'm guessing that's going to be a huge, huge plus factor in him managing the team, wouldn't it?
Absolutely, it's got to be the big factor, and we see the way he's handled everything now. You know, he's done it like a pro. I think with Ravi Shastri, you know, he was like a dog with the bone. You know, whatever Virat said, he agreed to it. So a brilliant cheerleader, a brilliant motivator, but a rubbish coach. Let's be honest. We just saw what happened the last couple of days in South Africa in the nets. Rahul Dravid being the wicketkeeper. You know, so you look at two places where the coach should be standing is behind the batsman or in front of the batsman. So where was Ravi Shastri? He was in the bar, Ravi's in the Mupani. So we all know that was the fact. But he in the dressing room to put the speech when their team needed it. Yeah, do ten peg lele, and you know he did well. He did well doing that. But now we have a proper coach with the reputation because Ravi Shastri, who is Ravi Shastri? He's a journeyman cricketer, really. You know, for me, a journeyman cricketer, but a great personality. Yeah. So we were personality driven. Now we are coach driven, technical driven. So if there's a problem within the series, you know, Rahul Dravid his door will be open and the players can come in and they can ask him with confidence and say, Rahul, what would you be doing in this situation? Which they couldn't do under the previous coach. So really, I think Rahul Dravid is the right choice. And it's the first choice, what all of India, 1.3 billion people, not one person I've met in the cricket circuit has said that is the wrong choice. Yeah.
Sure.
And I think that is the big problem when you have everybody saying this is the one coach. If you don't have a foreign coach, you have which coach in India would you select to be your coach? I think, you know, 1.3 billion, 1.2 would definitely say Rahul Dravid is the man that India should have. He's had the experience with the under things. He's led the first team in Sri Lanka, and now he's leading the first team, and he's controlling the egos because, you know, taking the captaincy off, I don't think that was an isolated decision. The coach was part of that decision. So he can make the tough decisions, even though the backlash is there. I think that's the coach we're getting. We have somebody with stature, somebody with class, somebody who the players can go to. So I think that all the boxes have been ticked with Rahul Dravid. The only thing we want to now see is the results on the park. And if we get South Africa out the way, come and beat England. And then for the World Test Championship, you know, that will put India in a very good position.
Yeah, no, fair points. And I think that's exactly what all of us discussing are sort of in agreement with as well, in terms of how Rahul Dravid is critical to this Indian team and what he brings to the table. And one of the key elements that we spoke about, and we've chatted about this offline earlier as well, is the fact that harsh decisions have to be taken moving forward for the benefit of Indian cricket, right? Whether it's dropping a Rahane or a Pujara or whatever the case may be, changing captains and so on and so forth. So one of the harsher decisions that might have to come about while we look at maybe a possible playing 11, so to speak, starting 11, is having performed the way he has, does Siraj not deserve a place in place of Ishant Sharma? Anuj, if I can start with you, and then I'll just go around to the other two gentlemen.
I think I've been associated with this debate of Siraj or Ishant from last, I think June. I think, yeah, it's been 6 to 7 months that I always wanted that Siraj has to be there in that playing 11. I don't know what really happened in the team. was that Delhi factor or maybe some sort of staff lobby or something like that why he played? I think it's very important that are we seeing Ishant Sharma for the next WTC final or maybe next cycle or for the next 2 to 3 years? Or we are saying Siraj is the go-to man, the first three paces if we talk about. Indian team has to decide this because, as you rightly mentioned, that we have to take harsh decisions. We are not taking this from last 3 to 4 years. Finally, we had this captaincy debate. Now it's been a move that Rohit Sharma is the captain. So I feel a step has to be taken for the fast bowling slot as well. I think Ishant Sharma is kind of becoming an injury prone cricketer like we saw with Bhuvi, Bhuvneshwar Kumar, and also what really happened with Zahir Khan in the later part of his career. I think Ishant Sharma has taken 300 wickets, but also he's been, he's been playing for more than 100 test matches. I feel still we are debating on him that is he the right man for the playing 11. That basically tells about that what sort of potential that he has. So for me, I think Siraj is the go-to man. Four pacers would be Shardul Thakur, starting with Jasprit Bumrah, Mohammad Shami, Mohammad Siraj, and a seeming all-rounder, considering 350s, what he scored, one in Australia and two in England. So I think these four pacers will be the pace attack, I feel, by which India has to go. Ravichandran Ashwin will be the fifth bowler. Spinner, a lone spinner, I feel, in Centurion. And let's see what sort of pitches are being prepared in the other two test matches. So for me, I think Siraj is the go-to man. I don't see Ishant Sharma in the playing 11 starting in the first test match.
Saksham, Bumrah coming back to the Indian team is obviously a massive, massive plus for Team India. I mean, South Africa was where he sort of set the scene alight with his performances in the last series. So to have somebody like him accompanying Shami is obviously going to be a fairly strong lead to the bowling attack for India, won't it?
Yes, obviously. And as you mentioned in the last series in South Africa, Jasprit Bumrah was, I think, the second highest wicket taker after Mohammad Shami. So he, obviously loves the South African pitches. And as far as the combo you said, Shami and Bumrah, I think it's a lethal combo because Jasprit Bumrah starting off the pace bowling for India, and Shami, when the ball becomes old, he's very lethal there. So that's something that I'm really looking forward to. And I would personally agree with what Anuj said. Siraj has to be there, and Siraj should get the new ball. I don't know why Virat is not giving him the new ball, even at the Lords. He did not get the new ball. Otherwise, we would have closed the match way before than we actually did. And I feel Siraj has to be there. The amount of energy, the amount of the momentum that he brings in his action, if you see, it's all about the energy that he has got. And that combo, I love, Siraj in England, Siraj in Australia, the way he was leading the attack, and the extra responsibility. We always talk about this, that the extra responsibility that is given to a player, some players thrive on it, some players take it as a pressure. And I think Siraj is someone, when he was leading the attack for RCB, he did really well in the last 2 years as a bowler. He has progressed as a bowler. And I think even for India in Australia, at Gaba or maybe at Sydney, everywhere, the way he lead the attack, I think it was phenomenal. And see, our bowling attack as compared to South Africa, I feel we are way above them. The current bowling attack of South Africa with no Nokia, they have Rabada and all these players, but still there is no Nokia there. So I feel we have an edge there. So only the batting part is where I'm really concerned, because there is no Rohit Sharma, who our openers were the ones who were getting us runs in England. And now there is a new opening pair. Mayank, we have not seen how he's going to, how he's going to perform in overseas. We are yet to see him. So that will be something that the Indian team has to look into. We are not scoring many runs, and you can put as many words as you can, but still our third, 3, 4, and 5, these are the three batsmen who are not scoring enough runs as compared to all the other teams. So I think the batting would be the factor. The team who will be batting really well, who will be putting around 300 runs on the board, they'll be the favorites to win the match.
Yeah, yeah, fair point. Very well put. I think, Paji, along with all of this, the top order, the bowlers to support them, Ashwin, who already has 5 Test 100s, so we can't actually call him a bowling all-rounder. He's probably a batting all-rounder more than anything else, but a genuine all-rounder no less. But in terms of the entertainment factor, of course, we have somebody like Rishabh Pant who's going to come in at around 6 and speak continuously while he's wicket keeping from behind the stumps. So that should be a massive
Yes.
entertainment factor for us anyway.
No, 100%. And I say Rishabh Pant behind the stumps is absolutely amazing. I love it when he plays. And that was missing when Woody Saha was playing. We're not expecting the nice language from Saha. But yeah, I think that's another big matchup which we have to look at is the Cock versus Pant. I think that is a really, really close battle. And I think Rishabh is definitely leading that one now, just with the consistency, especially overseas where he gets the big score. So I can't wait for Rishabh to come back, and we really, really have to praise Rishabh for how much his wicket keeping has improved, because I think his hands are so good now, and he's genuinely the best, nearly the best wicket keeper out there. We have Ben Folks in England who's really, really good with his hands, but I think Rishabh is way up there, and it's just brilliant to have him back. I think that's a big thing, and also having a lefty in the team, it's very good for India to have a left-hander, because obviously the top one is, majorly they are right-handers. So Rio getting another 4 or 5. The three positions India are failing at is getting a genuine quick left-arm bowler, a genuine and decent, 4 or 5 who's a lefty, and then also, it's just really see an all-rounder, getting this all-rounder spot finally sorted, because I think Hardik is finished. Hardik should retire from Test cricket and just stick to marketing and advertising. That's what he needs to do. Forget cricket for him. He's finished again. So I think really balance of the two teams. India are the stronger team. However, I'm looking for Dwan Alavia. At the start, I said Dwan Alavia, if he bowls to his potential, he will cause the 3, 4, 5 of India a lot of problems, and then the two teams will be a closer match between the two teams. And as we said at the start, the team with the best batting will win this Test match.
Also, we should include the backup wicketkeeper option as well. Ridhiman Shah is 37 years old. Are we seeing him in for the next 2 to 3 years? I think KS Bharat must have been included in this side, considering his recent performance in domestic cricket. I think that's where also I feel India has to look that are we going with Ridhiman Shah for next 2 to 3 years, or we need a substitute of Rishabh Pant. I feel that KS Bharat must have been included in this side. Yeah,
I think it's probably what they were thinking of anyway. So Ridhiman Shah, especially on Indian conditions, as we saw in this New Zealand series as well, he's absolutely brilliant in keeping to the spinners, especially not just the fast bowlers but the spinners. His takes down the leg side when the ball is turning square and all, he's absolutely brilliant. But you're right, he's a lot older, and that's why they had Bharat in the squad. And Bharat in the first match, if you remember, when Saha went off with the back spasm, he came in and he kept really, really well. So that's definitely an option that we have. Going back to something that Paji mentioned, it's probably too early for him, but I do feel that there's a potential, though he has primarily played the shorter format of the game. Arshdeep Singh is an upcoming promising left armer that we have in India, who hopefully, and I don't know how long it might take, but hopefully will be put through the right motions and the right guidance to come up to the level of at least playing for India in some format or the other. Because I think he's an interesting talent. He bowls with a lot of heart. So he's not of the same pace as Siraj. Both of them bowl with a lot of heart. But Siraj obviously has the pace, has the aggression. See, Siraj reminds me of how Sehwag used to bat. There used to be a concept with Sehwag and batting. See ball, hit ball, right? With Siraj, the way I see it is like if he has the ball in hand, his objective is very simple. I'm going to come in, I'm going to be aggressive, I'm going to bowl fast. I either take the wicket or I hit the batsman. That's his attitude. And I love that attitude from a fast bowler. Arshdeep Singh is a good, promising left armer. We haven't had one in ages. Zahir Khan and Ashish Nehra were probably the last two that I can think of who were competent at an international level for India. So yes, it's high time that that aspect, that part gets picked up by the new management and looked into, because I'm sure if we have that element in our arsenal as well, that depth and dimension it will give the Indian cricket bowling attack will be phenomenal. So I think that's something that the team should definitely look out for.
Brilliant point, and I've been calling it for a year now. So why isn't Arshdeep playing for India? He's better than Sakaria, yeah. He's better than most of the other bowlers, the left armers that being given a chance. Why hasn't Arshdeep been given a chance? And that is the big question. And I say the good thing of having a left armer who is really good again roughs up one side of the wicket. And you know, when you have quality spinners in the team, day 4 or day 5, and both parts of the wicket are roughed up a bit, it makes a big difference to the results of the game. So I really think Arshdeep should definitely be given a chance, and hopefully the management will look at his performances. He's performed in 2 IPLs where he's been the 2nd or 3rd best bowler. He bowls at the death where the pressure is on, and he bowls at a good pace as well, and he's got variety. So I really can't understand why the BCCI are not looking at Arshdeep, and I think, yeah, definitely he should be in the team. So and I just say that for what I think, and I think he should be definitely playing.
Just want to add one point here. Just want to add one from Arshdeep. I think it's very important to understand that the kind of brand of cricket India has been playing in T20s. If we talk about 2015 World Cup, what happened with England? James Anderson and Stuart Broad was playing in the conditions of Australia, but after that, if you see, they haven't played a limited overs match for England. That basically, I feel, has to go with Mohammad Shami in T20s. I feel India has to understand that we are looking Mohammad Shami for test matches to an extent for 50 over format. I feel for T20 cricket, you need specialists. The likes of Pakistan, if you see England, Australia, they have those players. Unfortunately, with Indian team, we all see that the bowlers who are playing the test matches, 50 over format, are playing the T20s. So you can see the volume of cricket, the amount of cricket that's been happening. Players will get injured. What happened with Natarajan? He was the star of 2020 IPL. He played in Australia. He played test match. He played ODIs. He played T20s. Before that season, we didn't knew that who is Natarajan. So it's important to understand that to back the players, and I think Arshdeep is very much unfortunate. He went to Sri Lanka. He was in reserves, and Sandeep Warrior was also, I guess, in reserves, but he played before him. I don't know why Sandeep Warrior played ahead of Arshdeep Singh. So I really want that if you want to win the next T20 World Cup, you want specialists who are performing very well in IPL, whether it's a Sakaria or a Natarajan or a Arshdeep. Just give them a chance, and I'm sure they will definitely give you a lot of return on investment. Yeah.
Anuj, I think this is a very valid point in the sense that it's not just about T20 or the ODI versus tests and so on, right? The very fact that these 3 formats are different for a reason. Test matches need a certain type of temperament, a certain type of skill set, a certain type of preserving your wicket when you're going out to bat, or planning out a batsman over a certain period of time if you're a spinner or a bowler or whatever, right? So the formats are different, and hence you need those specialists. So I'm completely on board with you on that. If you look at cricket historically, the first team which actually did this really, really well was Australia. There was a time when Australia had a bench strength. They could field 2 separate ODI teams alone at that time. I remember there was a World Series tournament way back in the mid 1990s where they had 4 teams playing. If I'm not mistaken, it was Sri Lanka, Australia, India, and then Australia A. There were 4 teams playing in a quadrangular tournament in Australia. That was the sort of bench strength Australia had. And the reason they had that was because they learned and they emphasized early enough on that selection process where you segregate players based on specialist skills. Michael Bevan, if you guys remember, was a finishing specialist in our time when we started watching and really following the game, right? He hardly played any tests. Imagine that happening now in the current Indian scenario. No, you are sort of categorized to play across all formats. Yes, you will always have certain players who will play across all formats. That's a given. That's fine. That forms the bench, the bedrock of your team. But then you have specialists who will come in and then perform. Jon Morgan does not play tests. He's a brilliant limited over specialist, both in the T20 and the ODI formats. So, I mean, this is something which I feel the board and the team management needs to sort of take on board and learn from and start working towards. And I think it's high time we did that, because otherwise it comes to a state, Anuj, like you were saying, where what happens if somebody suddenly gets injured? Then you're looking right, left, and center, and you don't have the adequate elements in place and that process that follows through it. So that then becomes an issue, right? Now, finally, just on a quick note before we end, Boxing Day test matches in general are brilliant. So if I can start with Saksham and then I'll come to Anuj and then Paji, what is so special about a Boxing Day test?
Well, the way we won that test match in Australia, that's one of the few memories that I have of Boxing Day test. And personally, I'm not a very someone who celebrates Christmas that much, but still Christmas or New Year, but still, it's something that we always look forward to, December end, and looking for a test match. And I still remember, Australia is always, a pretty hard, job to watch matches in India, because you have to wake up around 5 or 5:30 in the morning, and especially the winters that we have in Delhi or in Punjab side, the winters are very harsh. Right now I'm actually in my dining room and it's pretty cool. Still I'm sticking it to this conference, but still I would say it's a really good memory. And that's what Boxing Day always has been: waking up in the morning around 5, getting yourself a cup of coffee, and then listening to the commentary. That's been my good memory of this Boxing Day.
Lovely. Anuj?
If we talk about the recent memory, as Saksham rightly pointed out about that MCG test, what happened in Adelaide, that Pink test match, we were all out for 36, and then to win a test match in MCG, it was a great achievement. And also, I think in the last few years, we've been winning the Boxing Day test matches in the last 3 to 4 years. So, and also, it will basically the year end also. The 30th December is the final day of the test match. So obviously, we'll get to know that the year has been ending, and to end the year on a higher note for the Indians is very important. And I feel, yeah, I mean, I hope that we celebrate on 30th. That India should beat South Africa, and that will be the icing on the cake for me. So, yeah.
Paji, your final thoughts on the Boxing Day test?
Obviously, seeing the MCG full is the biggest thrill, for us.
Absolutely.
It's a 12 o'clock, it's 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock in the evening time difference for us. So, just to get 2 hours of cricket on Christmas Day is better. We see the big bash going on, and in this time we see India playing. So Boxing Day is going to be really, really special this time. Really, as I say, England have been really disappointed against Australia, but it'd be good to see the South Africa-India series, because, I think it's going to be competitive, all based on batting, as we said at the start. If India bat well, I can't see them lose this test match. If South Africa bat well and India don't, that will bring the two teams closer together. And then obviously, once Boxing Day is over, you get the New Year's test in Sydney, which is also brilliant, because my third favourite city is Sydney.
Absolutely. No, I think the only thing that might stand in the way of a good Boxing Day test match this time in South Africa, the Australia one, I'm looking forward to. It starts at about 4 o'clock here or 3:30 here in Dubai. So I'm going to be up rooting for the Aussies based on how they've been playing. I can see them literally running through the series, to be honest. Sorry, Paji, but that's how it's going. But to be fair, I think the only thing that might stand in the way of the result, either way, for the Boxing Day Test match in South Africa could possibly be the weather. I've been reading reports across in terms of how that's been panned out over the next few days. If you remember, this was, I think, way back in the 2000s when a match almost got washed off, South Africa, England, and then that was the one where Cronje got mixed up and all that mess that then happened after that, right? So rain does play a part in Centurion, especially at this time of the year. So let's hope that that's not the case. Let's hope that by the end of this year, by the 30th, if India win, we can always come back for a quick chat just to celebrate virtually from our respective places. Now, having hosted this show, usually I'm on the other side where I am part of a panel. It's brilliant when I'm hosting it because then I don't have to answer this next question that I'm going to ask. And it's a question that I personally don't like. So starting with Anuj, then Saksham, then Paji, actual verdicts on what the possible result will be for the series.
I think 2-0 India. India will be winning this test series.
Okay. I'll be noting all this down, by the way. So I'll be noting all this down so that I can come back and ask you questions again, all of you. All right.
Definitely.
Yeah, I'll also go with the same verdict. It's a 3-match series, right? Or a 2-match series?
3-match series.
3-match series, right? Yeah, we can expect two for India. I'm not sure if it will be 0 for South Africa or 1 for South Africa, but yeah, it will be 2 for India. I'm pretty sure of that.
Okay, Paji?
Hard. I want to say 3-0 India. Heart is saying that. Head is saying 2-0. But what I think is a Virat Kohli century, that will do for me because I think the media pressure on him is so much, and getting that monkey off his back, even if they win 2-0 and Virat gets a century, I'll be happy. So maybe Virat gets the 100, and that will make everybody happy. And then we go into the Edgbaston Test match. That's the one I'm looking forward to. England versus India at Edgbaston. It's going to be a brilliant time. We're going to have a really good time out there, and it'll be interesting to see what happens there. If this England turns up at Edgbaston, even with Edgbaston being the fortress, and India beats South Africa, I think India will win that series, and then it'll be for 1 or 2 in the World Test Championship, definitely.
No, sure. Edgbaston is definitely something I'm looking forward to for next year as well. So I'll definitely be there. So that'll be good for us to catch up as well. And then take the game head on. Guys, on that note, thank you so much for joining in for this conversation. Great fun talking about all things related to Indian cricket. Hopefully, it's a brilliant series. Obviously, as Indian fans, we all want India to win, but we want, more importantly, that it should be a brilliant series ahead. In the meantime, all of you have a great end to the year. Stay safe, everyone, and we'll catch up soon.
Jai Hind,
Right?
Jai Hind.
Take care.
Yeah.
Good night, all.
See you later, guys.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Ritwik. Rits.
Thank you, guys.
Really good.